Season 1, Episode 10. I got an episode for y'all. This is Tweener Wrestling Podcast. This is way too early predictions on Money in the Bank. Man, I had to write this shit down, and it was a head scratcher, man. Before we get started, if you guys watching me on YouTube, go ahead and sub to the channel. If you're not already, go ahead and hit that like button because I know you're going to like what I got to say. This is about to be a fire episode. Go ahead. If you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, whatever rating category they got, go ahead and give me 5 stars, 5 thumbs, like whatever they got. Go ahead, rate the podcast, please. Help me grow. And then go ahead, drop comments, and make sure you're following the podcast as well. Let's get into it. Episode 10, way too early predictions on Money in the Bank. Let's go. All right, guys, I had to jot some stuff down. So if you're watching me, forgive me for constantly looking off at my pad that I wrote a whole lot of shit down on, okay? So this is my way too early predictions for Money in the Bank. Episode is going to be like pretty short, simple. I'm going to give you the men's Money in the Bank and the women's Money in the Bank match. We really don't care for like world title defenses or anything like that. We are talking specifically about the Money in the Bank ladder matches. Now, the Money in the Bank event has been going on for about 7 years. I think this is the 7th annual Money in the Bank. And in my personal opinion, this year's Money in the Bank is going to be the biggest one yet. And the main reason why I say that is because it is at the O2 Arena in London, and I love overseas shows because they barely get to see us and they don't really have to pipe in a lot of wrestling noises or anything like that, crowd noises, like John Cena kind of said against Austin Theory. Because the arena is like crazy. They be throwing like beach balls and shit. So I just feel like the arena is going to give the energy that the show is going to need for it to be like a great show, like Clash at the Castle type shit. With that being said, the Money in the Bank match typically has 7 competitors. Last year it was 7 competitors. I don't know why I thought it was 5 or 6, but I was like, oh wow, no, it's 7. So for the men's Money in the Bank, I'm going to give you guys who I think is going to be in the match and who I think is going to win the match, and then who I think needs to be in the match, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be in the match, but who needs to be in the match. With that being said, to start off the men's Money in the Bank match at the number 1 entry, I think it's going to be Austin Theory. I think before they had champions in the match before. I'm not sure if he's going to be U.S. champ then, but I just feel like Austin Theory is going to be in the match again. Also, keep in mind, guys, the Money in the Bank is July the 1st. So it's before SummerSlam. I want to say there's Backlash, there's something else, and then there is, there might be like 2 or 3 pay-per-views in between time. But Austin Theory is, in my personal opinion, they typically always have the previous winner in the match. They don't win twice. I don't think anybody has won twice, to my knowledge. Or what? The Edge? I think Edge might be a 2-time Money in the Bank winner. I can't remember. But anyway, Austin Theory. Number 2, Montez Ford. Now, if you guys watch my Montez Ford appreciation episode and even the Logan Paul episode 9, you guys will know that I am a advocate, a word that I can't spell. I'm an advocate for Montez Ford. He is my favorite wrestler now. I think that he deserves to be Mr. Money in the Bank. I think out of every superstar on the roster at the moment, Montez Ford needs this. There's only 2 ways I can see a Montez Ford solo run being successful. Number 1, if you're going to make him a face with the briefcase. If he is not a face, then the only way he can be a successful solo wrestler to me to start off is make him heel. It's easier to get heels over than faces. It's just easy. It's just easier. And I don't want him to do like the typical heel shit. I'm gonna turn on Angelo Dawkins. and we're gonna feed for a little bit before I go off on my own. Like if he's gonna go heel, like I would like pair him with the Hurt Business, him and Angelo, and just let Montez focus more on some solo shit. So we got Austin Theory, we got who I want to win, Montez Ford. We got Gunther. I get confused when I'm talking on this podcast. Sometimes I say Gunther because I listening to another podcast. Shout out Nerdy D. And he always say Gunther. So I don't know if it's Gunther or Gunther. If you guys watching this on YouTube, go ahead, go to the comments. Please correct me. Which one is it? I still wish he was Walter. His real name is Walter. So whatever. The number, let's see this. 1, 2, 3 participants. Number 4 is kind of a gimme guy, like a fill-in guy that's never going to win, but he's kind of like a fill-in guy, and that's Kofi. Now, I'm thinking as I say that fill-in guy that's never going to win, I say Kofi, but my brain just said Dolph Ziggler, because he's kind of like always that fill-in guy that's never going to win. So I'm going to say Kofi or Dolph at the number, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 spot. Kofi or Dolph. Dolph was not written down, but I'm adding him now. Number 5, I don't know the timetable on Randy or Riddle, but number 5, I've wrote down Randy or Riddle. I don't know what their injury timetable is, but July 1st to me seems like enough time for one of them to be back. So if they're not in any type, if they're both back and they're not RK Bro, then I would put one of them in. So that's 1, 2, that's Austin Theory, Montez Ford, Gunther, Kofi, Riddle, or Randy. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5. Number 6. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Sammy, but it just seems like Sammy Mania could have happened, and WWE really did a great job, a sad but great job of derailing Sammy Mania and not letting that hijack WrestleMania. They did a great job of derailing that. Sammy and KO is about to become tag team champs. If they're not tag team champs going through Money in the Bank, which they might be because it's not too long from now, then I would like to see Sammy in Money in the Bank. And it's going to be extremely hard if Montez and Sammy is in Money in the Bank. I don't know who to root for. And then number 7, the 7th person, which was kind of weird for me to think of this person in the Money in the Bank match, but I just needed a 7th person and I couldn't think of nobody. It's Drew McIntyre. I thought about Sheamus, who was in it last year, and I was like, ooh, Drew McIntyre in a ladder match. But I was like, well, if Sheamus can do it, and Madcap Moss was in it last year, I was like, if those two guys can do it, then Drew can do it. But it just felt weird. I don't think he'll be in the match, but I needed to plug somebody in there. Okay, so with that being said, who do I think is going to win the Money in the Bank match? Who do you think, out of the guys that I selected, who do you think that I'm going to pick to win? It's Austin Theory, Montez Ford, Gunther, Kofi, Riddle, or Randy. That's kind of like taking up an extra slot. Riddle or Randy, Sammy or Drew. So out of those guys, the person that I want to win is Montez Ford. But the person I think will win is Gunther, because WWE is very high on Gunther. I just think he's an excellent character. Great heel, great look, great in-ring, Iron Man of the Royal Rumble. I think he has the record for like 1 hour, 11 minutes for the longest person in the Royal Rumble. Has the potential to be like Superstar of the Year if they still do the Slammy Awards, or if PWI does ranking. I think that Gunther will be definitely in the top 5. If WWE continues to push him the correct way. I don't know. I can't remember if he has a Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania. I don't think so, but please correct me if he does. So I don't know. He might still be an Intercontinental Champion all the way through Money in the Bank. Now, I'll say this. Anybody that comes into this Money in the Bank match that has a title, like if Austin Theory is still U.S. champ, if Gunther is still IC champ, they're not going to win Money in the Bank. But this is me speculating that they're not going to have their titles by July 1st. Now, the two guys that I picked that should be in the match that I feel like it's not going to be in the match is Finn. I think with them being overseas in London, he's not from London, but I just feel like anytime they're overseas and they get someone, I don't know how close Ireland is to the O2 ring. I have no fucking idea at all. So guys, please don't want to kick my ass for fucking shit for saying the wrong shit. But I don't know how close it is. But I feel like if you get somebody that's even remotely close to that, like anybody basically non-American, basically, then if they win or they're in the match, they're gonna get more cheers than like 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 a Austin Theory or like a Montez. Austin Theory won't get cheers, but like a Montez. Just because they're from Europe, they're a European superstar. I guess that's the best way to put it. Now, something I would like to see them incorporate into the Money in the Bank match is when they do the Money in the Bank qualifying matches, because this ties into the next person I'm about to say. I would like for them, they're going to do some Raw qualifying matches. They're going to do some SmackDown qualifying matches. I would like them to also put some NXT qualifying matches. Give me one NXT superstar. I really kind of pulled this idea from the Royal Rumble because the women's Royal Rumble, they had a lot of NXT women make an appearance. And pretty much every NXT chick that made an appearance got a pop. And I feel like they should have did the same thing for the men's Royal Rumble, but they didn't do it. So I think I take that idea, add it to the Money in the Bank match, and let's get Carmelo Hayes. Not a Braun Breaker yet. I would like to see Braun Breaker come out in the next year's Royal Rumble for a debut. But let's get Carmelo Hayes in the Royal Rumble. His athleticism, I think he would just be a great addition to the match. The only thing that kind of scares me is ever since, I think his name was Johnny Mercury. Oh no, the Eminem tag team with John Morrison, his tag partner. If you guys never seen how Eminem really came to an erupt in, is because it was a Money in the Bank match. I think it was a Money in the Bank match, or it might have been just a TLC match. I think it was a TLC match. I'm sorry, a TLC match with Eminem. The latter freak accident collided with, I think his name is Joey Mercury or Johnny Mercury, some shit like that. Correct me again in the comments, guys, but it collided with his face. This is John Morrison's tag team partner, who is now like just a backstage hand guy. Collided with his face, fucked him up, and ever since then, John Morrison went solo. So I'd be afraid that that's going to happen to like a Carmelo Hayes if he was in it, or Riddle or some shit like that. But we can't live on fear. Carmelo Hayes, book it, men's Royal Rumble. Now, let's go into the women's Royal Rumble. So this one was way harder than the men's. I got this. I got a pencil with this eraser. I erased so many names off of this list because I was like, nah, oh no, like I just kept erasing names and adding names. I was like, no, she's gonna do better. No, so I'll read off the list and then I'll let you guys know who I erased. So number one, women's Money in the Bank is Carmella. I like Carmella. She sucks in the ring, but I just like her as a character. Nothing really much. She's not the person that I'm picking to win. So I just put her in there just from her experience in the match. And she's a one-time winner as well. First winner as well. Number two, Raquel Rodriguez. It's not Gonzalez. I think on the video game it's Gonzalez, and I keep wanting to call her that, Gonzalez, but I think it's Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel Rodriguez is one of the people that I had like two other people at first and erased them, and then I put her in it. Number three, Dakota Kai. Now jumping back to Raquel, I personally like her. She passes the eye test for me, and I like her in the ring. But I don't think that unfortunately, I don't think that she has what it takes to make it as a Hall of Fame type career superstar. Like she doesn't have that it factor, but she has that total package for a wrestler. And I know that probably don't make sense to what I'm kind of trying to say. She doesn't have the it factor, but she has that I'm a great wrestler and I can be a great character gimmick. Like for instance, like Chad Gable. Chad Gable, excellent wrestler. He can be like really hot in certain characters, but Chad Gable isn't that it factor. He doesn't have that wow factor, but he's great, but he doesn't have the it factor that like, man, this guy's gonna be the top of the industry type of shit. That's how I look at Raquel. Like Raquel has that, like she can be a solid wrestler, but she just doesn't have that it factor like a Becky Lynch had, or Charlotte, or Bayley, or Sasha, or even Roxanne Perez, who to me, or well, Cora J, Roxanne Perez, like those are like up and coming chicks that I think got the it factor. So I just don't think Raquel got that. But anyway, number 3 is Dakota Kai. Now I didn't give two shits about Dakota Kai until she came back. I really didn't watch her in NXT, but now that she's back and I see her work and I follow her on TikTok, don't judge me, I like Dakota Kai. She is a name that I had not on this list, but once again, I said I just kept erasing people and putting people in it, and Dakota Kai was one of the people that I erased other people for and put in there. Number, 4, we got the just battle tested, the go-to, the solid person that's never gonna win anything, similar to a Dolph Ziggler or a Kofi, Natalya. I just think that she's a filler person. Now, if she don't got shit going on, or she probably hurt, she's interchangeable. But for now, Natalya. We ain't gonna talk too much about it. The next person is 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is Liv Morgan. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Yeah, 5 is Liv Morgan. Once again, won the Money in the Bank last year. And I just think she'll be in it again, just because she's kind of like going through that hardcore Liv stage. Ooh, a nice marketing gimmick. If she had a shirt that said Live Hardcore, like get it, like it's like a lifestyle, like live fast or live dangerously, like Live Hardcore. I like that. I need to be on WWE marketing team. Number 6 is Rhea Ripley. Now I'm picking Rhea Ripley to be in the title match because for some reason I don't think she'll be women's champ that long. When she beats Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania and she goes to the WrestleMania Backlash with the title, I think the next event after Backlash, she's going to lose. Now, number 7 is one of those either or picks. So I said Becky or Bayley, who's ever not doing anything. Becky Lynch is currently a tag team champ. She's probably going to be a tag team champ for less than a month because that's how the tag team titles constantly get switched around. I think, Liv has won, Carmella has won, and I feel like I'm missing another woman that has won. Asuka has won the Money in the Bank. So I think Bayley needs it. The way her 2023 is going, she's kind of like been like, I'm just going to try my best to get other people over, and she's really not winning. Like, she really ain't doing shit basically, but a lot of talking. So I would like to see Bayley get elevated back to the top because when she had the title, it was golden before she got hurt. So Becky or Bayley. Now, with the men's Money in the Bank, I picked 2 men, Finn and Carmelo Hayes. But with the women, I couldn't think of another woman that needs to be in the match. I can only think of one woman that needs to be in this match that I would love to see in this match. And I really don't know how to say her name correctly, but she's an NXT superstar. And it's Gigi. I don't know if it's Gigi or Gigi. Gigi, the girl from Toxic Attraction, who's extremely pretty, great character, great in ring ability. Would love to see her on the main roster. Cannot wait to see her on the main roster. I know I'm going to be a fan of hers. I thought about Cora Jade. I thought about Roxanne Perez. But I'm like, let them do their thing a little bit longer. I think Gigi, I don't even want to see her be an NXT Women's Champ. Let's go ahead and bring her up. Cora Jade, I still want her to become a Women's Champ at NXT, build her up that way. And the same thing for like Roxanne and I just said somebody else. I don't know. But the same thing for them. Just let them stay in NXT. But Gigi, I don't know why. I feel like she can bypass that. And let's just throw her in the match. So those are my picks. Now, who I think is going to win the women's Money in the Bank match. And then I'll tell y'all a little reason of my men's pick and my woman's pick. Who I think should win it, Rhea Ripley. She's going to have a WrestleMania moment that adds to her legacy. Let her have this Money in the Bank moment. That increases her legacy. I don't know why, but I feel like because they're at the O2 Arena, let's build these European stars even more. Let's elevate them even more. So with Gunther winning, European wrestler, Rhea winning, European wrestler, I feel like the crowd reaction to them winning is going to like erupt, even though they're not from London, just them being European superstars. I like them. Typically, I do a dark horse winner, but I don't have a dark horse. Maybe in a later episode when we get closer to the Money in the Bank, I'll do some dark horses. And before I head out, I'd just like to say this. I correctly guessed the men's 2022 men's Money in the Bank and the women's 2022 Money in the Bank last year. So when I tell y'all my way too early predictions, the wrestlers that I'm picking, not the people that I picked to win, the people that I'm picking that's in the match might be off. But last year, I told everybody, Austin Theory is going to be men's Money in the Bank. And Liv Morgan is going to be women's Money in the Bank before I even knew they were in the matches. So I'm telling y'all right now, today is March the 8th, 2023. If Gunther or Rhea, because they're both going to have titles soon. I mean, Gunther already has here. If they do not have titles, they are going to win the men's and women's Money in the Bank. Rhea definitely. Gunther might change depending on what the fuck happens with Montez Ford. And if you guys listen to episode 9, if Logan Paul is inserted. If Logan Paul is in the Money in the Bank, we already know he fucking winning. So if Logan Paul is inserted into that shit, it's a whole nother story. But right now, Gunther, Rhea, Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank. And wrapping up today's episode, because I got some pizza calling my name. Way too early predictions of the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, July the 1st, O2 Arena in London. Shit gonna be crazy. My favorite pay-per-view, unless Survivor Series can resurrect itself. Money in the Bank, my favorite pay-per-view, hands down. Once again, like I said before, if you guys are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, go ahead and follow the podcast if you are not. One thing that I would really appreciate, though, if you guys would rate my podcast. This is for fans by a major wrestling fan. So I would greatly appreciate it if you guys help our channel grow, rate the podcast. If you guys want to be on the podcast, email me at podcasttweener@gmail. That's not Tweener podcast at Gmail, but podcast Tweener, TWEENER, podcasttweener@gmail. No underscores, no slashes, just straight through. If you guys are watching me on YouTube channel is growing. Episode 8, we're on episode 10 now. Episode 8 was my highest viewed episode. My Montez Ford appreciation episode at 250 plus views and growing. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but that is amazing for me. To just start this channel isn't channel and the podcast isn't even 2 months old yet, so that was a major milestone accomplishment for me, and I greatly appreciate everybody, every single individual. So let's just continue that. Let's grow. This is a wrap on episode 10. Once again, season 1 is also winding down and coming to a close. Season 2 is going to be bigger, stronger. We're going to have more guests. I can't wait to reveal the new look of the show. We're going to get new intros. We're going to get an outro finally. And we're just going to grow. We're just going to grow, guys. That's the biggest thing. Tweener Wrestling Podcast. Love you guys. I'm out. All right. Peace.